It is now my pleasure to introduce candidate Matt Dozier.
First, I want to thank everybody for being here, for choosing to spend your Friday night here listening to us and taking an interest in what's going on. I'm also proud to be involved in a race where 5 people has been working for months trying to put themselves in a better position to do more for our community. No matter what happens, we all live here. We all live together. We want to make the best of this. So, tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a detective lieutenant at Jasper Police Department. I'm an 18-year law enforcement officer. I'm a member of the International Homicide Investigators Association. Been privileged to go to Washington, D.C. just in August to a training school there with homicide detectives from all over the world, not just the U.S. Made friends with a police chief in Germany. He works all their homicides and is just real informative, good class. I'm a member of the PBA also, the NRA, and you know, months ago I spent a lot of time researching different things and trying to decide whether I was going to run for state representative. And the main thing that got my attention is what's been going on for years in Alabama, and that's prison reform, the criminal justice system. What happens is, you know, a person's arrested, say on a violent crime, armed robbery. Somebody goes to the grocery store here and puts a gun to the clerk's head, gets charged with first-degree robbery. They're arrested, the court process starts. 3, 4, 5 years later, you may have a jury trial. Maybe we send the person to prison. The state of Alabama has no obligation to follow a circuit court judge's sentence. What I mean by that is if a judge sentences a violent criminal to 25 years, the state has no authority to abide by that. I'll give you a few examples. Number one, North Alabama, Sheffield, Alabama, small town, small police department. A patrol sergeant is chasing a car that won't stop for him. The vehicle is fleeing from him, turns into a Walmart parking lot. Any Walmart I've ever been to is pretty busy, usually all the time. The officer made a decision to do a pit maneuver on the vehicle. At that point, the officer was shot and killed by a man that had just gotten out of prison for killing his own father. The man was charged with murder, pled guilty to manslaughter, received 10 years. He did 3. 3 years for killing his father. I mean, that's ridiculous to me. If you get bored, you got a little time, Google it, go to YouTube, type it in and listen to the police chief up there and his emotional interview with the news crews. You're going to see him in tears, and he's going to talk about how the state and the system failed him. I've got a copy of the headline here from October 5th, 2021. It's not been a year ago. The chief says, "I've got to bury one of my officers this week because the system has failed us." Now, I could talk all night long. I think Aaron said we had 10 minutes. You probably don't want to hear me fuss all night. There's stories all over Alabama. I'll take you to one this week right here in Walker County where a state trooper chased a guy, ran from him. The guy just got out of prison for manslaughter, and I'm personally familiar with the case. The guy hadn't been out for long. The trooper had to pull his weapon on the guy. He felt like if he didn't, the man would have shot him and killed him. So I asked the trooper, I said, what if it would have been a young trooper? What do you think would have happened? He said, the guy would have killed the trooper. This guy should never be out of prison. He should not be out here on the streets for law enforcement to deal with or go into the grocery store with any of us. It just shouldn't happen. It's a problem. It needs to be fixed. So, you know, I kept thinking maybe somebody else will do it, but that hadn't happened. And as I'm making my decision, I point to the Sheffield case because it's in the middle of me deciding what I'm going to do. Again, first week of October in 2021. The first week of October, the state called a special session. The governor called a special session, called the legislature in. There was 2 bills that come up. They were both prison reform bills. One that passed said that an inmate could get 1 additional year off of their sentence for good behavior. Well, they're in there because of bad behavior. I have zero problem with 1 year off if they're doing the full sentence. Fine if we want to give them an additional year, but they're doing an eighth of a sentence for a violent crime. I've got a problem with that. It's got me fired up enough to where I've been in an 8-month-long race for state representative. I think you can all agree with me on that. We need to, as the sheriff said earlier, get behind our law enforcement. We're really just tying their hands. We're asking them to do a job, but we're making it impossible for them to do it. And that includes the district attorneys, our judges we elect. We've got some outstanding law enforcement officers. We've got an outstanding DA's office, some great judges. We're tying their hands. We need legislation that's tough on crime. If we don't, we're going to wind up like some of these northern states, and it's going to be just out of control. We need to fix it. So I'll move on. Taxes. I'm not for raising taxes on what I consider to be items of necessity, whether it be fuel or grocery or stuff you've got to have to live. If you've noticed, probably normal items and products you use every day, shampoo, whatever, it's gone up. Whatever you buy, wherever you buy it, you're paying more for it. So everything's gone up, probably but your paycheck. Mine hasn't. So I'm not for putting a greater burden on everyday people like myself. I hit a time clock every day. I understand what it's like. I understand the burden of more taxes. So I plan to sponsor a bill to eliminate taxes on groceries in Alabama. Did you know that Alabama is one of 3 states in the U.S. to fully tax groceries? Fully tax. Some states have no tax on groceries. Some have a reduced tax. But we're one of 3 to fully tax it. So essentially, we got to pay the government to support and feed our families. To me, that's just common sense. It's measures that help families that need it the most. If you've been to Walmart, it don't take long to spend $100, and when you get home, you hadn't bought anything. The tax isn't a lot of money, but it gives you a little more to spend on food and things that you need. My purpose is to put myself in a better position to do more to help people. I've served, for 18 years as a law enforcement officer. I've served with a bulletproof vest and a gun. I'm asking you to send me down to Montgomery to fight for you there. My experience is fighting for you. I'll continue to do that. The best way for me to serve and protect you at this point is to go to Montgomery and fight for you there. I appreciate your support May the 24th. Thank you for your time.